let's remain standing while I read one verse. We're going through the Ten Commandments right now, and next week I'm taking a break from my series. I'm almost done with the Ten Commandments part of it, but in 2 weeks we'll pick it up and talk about coveting. I don't know if you know what it means to covet, but we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks because next week is Easter, and I have some special things planned for that, and I'm not going to give anything away. You'll have to be here next week. So here's what this says in Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Says, "You must not testify falsely against your neighbor." Okay, you can be seated.
Ten Commandments!
God has set before you this day His laws of life.
All right, so we're talking about lying today. Some of you guys are big fat liars. I'm just kidding. No, maybe you are. You might be, but so we're going to start off with a little game. Have you ever played the game Two Truths and a Lie? You ever done that? It's kind of like an icebreaker if you've been at a place. Usually, we're going to play it a little bit different because usually it's like you're trying to introduce yourself and you're like, let me tell you 3 things about me. 2 of them are true and one's a lie. But I feel like I've already told you everything about me, so there's nothing left to hide. And so these are just 3. I went online and I found some facts. Okay, so these are 2. I'm going to read 3 of them. You need to pay careful attention because 2 of them are true and one's a lie. Okay, ready? Number 1, the first one is this: mosquitoes can smell which blood type you are. Number 2, giraffes and humans have the same number of neck bones. And number 3, and probably my favorite, you are 10 times more likely to get bit by a New Yorker than by a shark. So, number 1, mosquitoes can smell which blood type you are. Number 2, giraffes and humans have the same number of neck bones. And number 3, you are 10 times more likely to get bit by a New Yorker than a shark. Who thinks number 1 is false? Number 1, you don't believe that mosquitoes can smell your blood type. Number 2, who believes that one's false? How about number 3? Who believes number 3 is fake? Okay, the reality is I lied, and they're all 3 true. Absolutely true. And which is what it's mind-boggling. Let me go through and give some more context for these. Number 1 is mosquitoes can smell which blood type you are. That's true. It says they are twice as likely to bite someone who is type O as opposed to someone who is type A. So how many of you guys know what blood type you are? I don't. I have no idea what blood. Here's what I do know. One of my best friends in Colorado, Michael Haley, he's a pastor, and we go on hikes together. And when we're up in the mountains, mosquitoes are all over me, so whatever blood type I am, they love that. And whatever blood, he was like, mosquitoes don't bother me. And I'm like, I got mosquitoes all over me, and he's just sitting there unaffected, like they don't like his blood type. It's weird. The second one, giraffes and humans have the same number of neck bones. It says actually all mammals do. All mammals have the same number of neck bones. So you learned something today. And then the third one was you are 10 times more likely to get bit by a New Yorker than by a shark. It says you are also more likely to get bit by a New Yorker than by a rat in New York. And I've been to New York, and I would say that's accurate. And let me give you, so there was a whole list of things that I saw, and 2 more stuck out to me. Let me give you 2 more facts. These are absolutely true. You're not going to like this one, but it says the air you breathe in a train station is 15% human skin. The air you breathe in a train station is 15% skin. If you think, this is what it says. He goes, if you think leaving the train station will save you from inhaling skin, just know that about 80% of the floating specks you see in a sunbeam are also skin. So whenever you see a little sunbeam and there's particles, that's human skin. Anyways, aren't you glad you came to church today? Here's the last one. if you play music to a cheese wheel, it affects its flavor. The tunes will affect its flavor. It says cheese wheels have a stronger flavor if they have listened to hip hop. It says in a 2019 study that played classical, rock, electronic, and hip hop to cheese wheels, the hip hop cheese wheel had a stronger flavor and aroma. So you do what you will with that information. I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, so we're going to get into this. Today we're talking about commandment number 9, which is lying. And I need to stop. I need to backtrack because a few weeks ago I talked about thou shalt not commit adultery. And I talked a lot about marriages and how to make, how to have a great marriage. And I missed one of the things that I was going to put on the screen. So we're going to look at it today. This is a book by Henry VIII called Making Marriage Work. So you can pick that up on Amazon if you're interested. If you know, you know. If you don't, you need to ask somebody that knows. Anyway, so last week I talked about do not steal. The 8th command was don't steal. Number 9 is don't tell lies, right? Thou shalt not lie. And so I want to this is confession time because I've known I was going to be preaching about this for a while. So whenever I know, usually whenever this didn't happen this time, but usually whenever I'm preaching on marriage that week, my wife will start the biggest fight in the world with me, and we'll argue all week long, and it's always her fault. But so I knew last week I was talking about stealing, so I was just mindful, and I was like, I don't think I stole anything last week, but this week is lying, and that's like there's variations. There's anything from a little white lie to you're a big fat liar, right? And so I had this thing. These people reached out to me. We're trying to. It's called First Priority, and they're trying. It's kind of like an FCA, and they want to. And I want to help them get some Bible clubs started in the schools around here. And it's a really good thing. It's very evangelistic focused. And so the girl that contacted me, she goes, "We have a youth pastors luncheon every Thursday." And so I went out there to that, and I was like, I'm not a youth pastor. She was like, but it'd be cool to sit in because we're kind of in transition right now for youth pastors. And so I sat at this table, and there was like a girl here and a girl here. Both of them worked for First Priority, and the rest of the people were youth pastors and their wives. And so the lady that was sitting here was asking me some questions, and I was telling her about my situation. I've told her I planted 2 churches, and she was intrigued by that because she goes, a few years ago, my husband and I went to Colorado and we planted a church, and then COVID happened and we had to close it down. It just ruined everything. And so she was just telling me about that. And then she was just talking, and let me try to say this nicely. I really wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. Most guys have that gift to do that, right? Your wife's talking, and you're like, what'd you say? But I just tuned out. Like my mind was floating. Like some of you guys are doing it right now. You're not even hearing what I'm saying. But I was just thinking of something else, and she was talking to the group, right? She wasn't talking necessarily to me. She was talking to everyone at the table, and she was talking about church planting. And then at one point she goes, and there's this great conference down in Florida called Exponential. And she looked at me. She goes, you're a church planter. I'm sure you've been to that. And I went, yeah, I've been there. And I sort of only half heard what she was saying, and then I was like, no, you haven't. Like, I haven't been to that conference. And then I go, one of my best friends, Sean Sears, he goes to that conference every year, and I was about to say, but I never have. And I didn't say it, and she kept talking, and I was like, as soon as she takes a breath, I'm going to jump in there and kind of correct. And it's not even a huge deal. It's more like a mistake, but I knew I was preaching on this week, so I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like it was fresh in my mind. I was like, I need to get out of this some way. And so she just talked, and then someone was like, hey, we're doing something different, and I forgot about it, and I feel bad. Next time I see her, I'm gonna have this awkward conversation, go, hey, I lied to you. She's gonna be like, it's not a big deal. It's like, and it's not a big deal, but I'm just saying, like, there's all kinds of variations of lying from mistakes to little white lies, and so let's look at this today. I'll go put the verse back up there. This is the 9th commandment. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. Now, in context, what that's specifically talking about is testifying like in a court of law. Like if you get called into a trial or whatever and you're testifying, don't lie. Don't lie one way. Just tell the truth. Get up there and tell the truth. But it also applies, so don't think, well, I just only have to tell the truth when I'm under oath. No, you're always under oath because God's watching everything. And so God makes it clear all throughout the Old Testament that we are supposed to be honest, honorable people, which means not lying, like being a person of integrity, which means being a person of your word. So as we get started, I have one meme that I found that's related to this. Thou shalt not steal. That's the government's job. Don't get me started on all of that. Anyway, so put the next slide up. Just let me talk about this. So I did a lot of studying and research on this week about lies and the variations, and these are a lot of different ones. The one that sticks out to me is the bluffs. You see the bluffs? So it's like I'm a pastor and I'm a Christian and I'm not supposed to lie, and yet when I play cards with my kids, when I play Uno with my kids, I will absolutely lie. I will, we did a staff retreat a few weeks ago, a while back down in Branson, and we were all playing Uno, and everybody was talking. All of my wife was there, and Pastor Chuck, and they weren't paying attention to what I was doing. So every time I went to lay down an Uno card, I would put 3 or 4 down, and then be like. So I was running out of cards quick, and they eventually busted me. But I was like, sorry, not sorry. I don't care. Like, you're going to have to catch me. You know what I mean? So that's all fair game. Bluffing to me is all fair game. My kids had a hard time, when they were younger, they had a hard time reconciling bluffing, right? In like a card game or like a poker game, just playing for fun, Texas Hold'em or something like that. They're like, you are lying. You're lying. I'm like, yeah, well, in some cases, it's not that. Anyways, so let me read through this. I found this website, and apparently there's a lot of different categories of lying, and I have 25 of them here, and let me just read some of them on the list. It said number 1 is errors/mistakes. Number 2 is white lies. There's playful or humorous lies. There's exaggeration. There's flattery. There's half-truths or selective memory. Some of y'all have selective memory. There's cover-up lies. There's evasive lies, there's false accusations or slander, there's bluffs, there's manipulative lies, there's deceptive marketing. I've told you guys this before, but when I was in Bible college, I had a job. This is old school, but back then, this was like 1999 or 98, I had a job working for MCI Long Distance Company. Remember those? Remember back in the day when you had to pay for your long distance? You had to contract with a company to do long distance. Well, I worked for them in Springfield while I was in Bible college, and I only worked there a few weeks because I was being deceptive. Like I would sell somebody a package, and I really wouldn't tell them the whole truth, and afterwards I'd feel bad about it, but it paid really good. And after just a few weeks, I was like, I told the people, I said, I got to quit. I can't work here. And they go, why? I go, because you guys are dishonest people. Like, you guys are cheats and liars. And so I was like, my conscience was just getting the best of me. I wasn't flat out lying to people, but I really wasn't sharing the whole truth with them about like when the contract started and ended and things like that. So anyways, I don't know where I stopped. Deceptive marketing. There's scapegoating. There's lies of omission. There's withholding information. There's bald-faced lies. I always thought it was bold-faced lies with an O. It's bald. Like bald, I don't know what. I don't know what that's about. There's misinformation and disinformation/propaganda. You see that on the news every night when you watch the news, propaganda. There's fabrication and hoaxes. There's plagiarism. There's false confessions. There's impressive lies. I don't know what that is. There's compulsive and pathological lies. Anybody know a pathological liar or a compulsive liar? Yeah. There's paranoid lies, there's fraudulent lies/perjury, and there's gaslighting. And there's probably a whole lot more. So I want to show you this video. This is from Greg Laurie, and he's talking about different types of lies. Let's check this out.
But here's an interesting thing. We all may lie a little bit more than we think. There was a study that was done, and the question was asked why people lied. And 98% said the reason they lied was to keep from offending someone else. I do understand that to some degree. You know, telling the truth is not always an easy thing, is it? Maybe someone invites you over for a meal and you take 2 bites and you throw up inside of your mouth. I mean, sorry. I really grossed this guy out here. That's a little too graphic. Did you get the idea? Just, just like, whoa, I can't eat this. So you said, look, Haley's Comet, and you fed it to their dog who went over into the corner and died on the spot. Then after the meal was done, the hostess said, well, how did you like dinner? And you said, I've never had another meal like that anywhere ever. You don't want to tell them the truth. That was vile and horrific. Or someone sings for us. You know, I believe the Lord's given me a gift of singing, really. Oh, yes. Well, sing something. They sing, oh, it's bad. They're off pitch and they can't hold to the melody. And they obviously have no skills whatsoever. And so they say, what do you think? What you want to say is what Simon would say in American Idol. It was rubbish. That was a very bad attempt at an English accent. Rubbish. But instead you say, wow, I've never heard anyone sing quite that way. That was one of the most fascinating performances I've ever heard. You know, we don't want to tell them the truth. It's a form of lying. But there are those little white lies that we may tell. For instance, someone calls your house, you don't want to talk to them, so you tell your child to say, tell them I'm not home. And you know what that is? It's a lie. Someone asks you about something, you say, oh, I forgot. But you didn't. It's good to see you, when it isn't. I love your outfit, when you don't. You say, no, I don't lie ever. No, wait a second. The check's in the mail, when it isn't. I was just getting ready to call you, when you weren't. I had no idea when you did. I'll be praying for you, or worse, I've been praying for you, when you won't and you haven't. Those are lies.
Okay, so you think about lying starts off really young, right? And it's pretty universally accepted in our society that lying's wrong. Like you go to any elementary school and they're probably going to be teaching our kids that it's wrong to tell a lie, right? And that's good. Maybe that'll change down the road. But we know that kids lie, right? Nobody sat your kid down and said, let me tell you how to tell a lie, or last week, let me tell you how to steal this. No, it's just instinctual. It's just part of our human nature, our sinful human nature. So I was doing some research on this, and we're going to have a little fun with this. I have some videos. If you want to have some fun, you want to kill Saturday afternoon or whatever, go on YouTube and just put in kids lying about eating cupcakes. And there are lots and lots of videos, but I just chose a few. So let's look at these first one.
Can you tell me about your chocolate on your face? What happened?
A dot. Ramen noodles on my face, and I washed it.
Did you wash it with chocolate?
Yep.
So I've been sitting on that video for many months, maybe even a year, and I saw that, I downloaded it. I was like, I need to show this at church sometime. Because that kid, that cracks me up. Like she was just locked and loaded. Yep. So funny. All right, let's watch the rest of these. You can just play them back to back.
Did you eat cake?
No.
You didn't have any cake? No. What have you been eating?
Nothing.
Nothing. You haven't had a single bit of cake.
Who was eating chocolate for breakfast? You or Noah?
Noah.
Noah was? You weren't eating any chocolate? You didn't eat chocolate?
Noah.
Oh, just Noah? Are you sure you didn't have any chocolate?
No.
No, you didn't.
No.
What'd you eat? Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Hey, Jack. Did you eat a cupcake?
No.
You didn't eat a cupcake?
No, I was at home.
You sure you didn't eat a cupcake?
No.
I thought you maybe had a cupcake.
No.
No?
No.
Definitely not?
No.
Not like in the last couple minutes?
No.
No cupcake for Jack?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Who did this, TJ?
No, no.
Did you do this?
No.
Huh?
No.
You didn't do this, TJ.
Yes, you did.
Who got to them cupcakes, TJ?
No.
Did you do it?
No. But you did.
You didn't do this?
No. You did good.
You sure? This is your last chance.
No.
Are you sure? Did you do it?
No. Yes.
So you didn't push this chair over here, climb on there, and get them cupcakes.
No.
Did you touch Jude's food?
No.
Yeah.
I food.
You touched Jude's food. I just watched you do it.
No. I have to do it.
Yes, you did touch his food. You touched his food. Were you playing in Jude's food? You touched the food. You did touch the food.
That last one was my favorite. That little girl has a future in politics. Anyways, so those kids, it's cute and everything, but those kids grow up and they become adults like you. And you probably did the same thing. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar and swore you didn't do it. But kids grow up telling little lies like that, and then they grow up to become adults, and they're like this right here. And they lie about the size of their fish. I don't, all my friends do that, and I'm the only one that doesn't lie about the size, because I don't have to, because I always catch bigger fish than them. But anyways, and that's true. But go to the next slide. This is funny. This is from Maury Povich, the lie detector. That was a lie. All right, so has anyone ever taken a lie detector test in here? Polygraph test? You have? Did you beat it? Did you beat it? Like you lied and, okay. Yeah, so anyways, all right. So let's get into this. This is in your notes, but I want to talk about some areas that are, so there's consequences to lying. And before we get to the first one, I want to talk about just for a second, just leave that up there like that for a second. So in the Bible, you can look this up later, but this is just write down Acts chapter 5. This is the story of Ananias and Sapphira. And they told a big lie. Actually, it was like a small lie that seemed to turn into a big lie. But what happened was the early church was going on, and the church was growing by thousands of people daily, and it was growing very rapidly. And people were meeting in homes, and they had this deal. It was it was communal in a sense. And so the Bible says that everybody came together every day, all of the believers, and everybody ate together. It's kind of like a potluck every single day, and everybody brought something. In fact, the Apostle Paul goes, I had a rule that if you didn't work, you didn't eat. So if you weren't willing to do dishes or bring some food, you weren't eating. But that probably happened later on. But so at that time, everybody would come together, and it's just like this great community of people, and they do potlucks every day. And then it says that Barnabas had some land. He had a piece of property, and he went out and he sold that because they were running short on funds. So he goes, I got this property, so I'm gonna sell this land. And he sold it, and he brought all of the money to the apostles. And he goes, give this to the church. He goes, so now we can eat and all of that. And so what happened was they were heaping lots of praise on Barnabas, and over off to the side was Ananias and Sapphira. And they saw how much praise he was getting, and they got jealous of that. So they concocted this plan. They got together and they go, okay, we have a piece of property. Let's go sell this property, and let's tell them that we gave all of the money, but we're just going to give some of the money. So they did. They went out and sold the property, and they went to the apostles. They go, we had a piece of property. We sold it for this amount, and we're giving you all the money. And Peter, who was filled with the Holy Spirit, knew they were lying. And so he brought them in separately, like one at a time, brought the husband in, and goes, now listen, tell us the truth. He goes, the property was yours. You didn't have to sell it. And once you sold it, you didn't have to give us all the money or any of the money. That was all your choice. He was like, but you're lying. He goes, I want to give you one last chance. And the husband goes, no, we sold it for this amount, and we're giving all the money to you guys. And he goes, you didn't lie to me. You lied to the Holy Spirit. And he dropped dead right there. And they wrapped him up in a sheet, and they carried, kind of like a mob movie, but they wrapped him up, and they took him out and buried him. And then a few hours later, they had his wife come in, and Peter goes, now just tell us the truth. What was the price you sold the land for? He goes, it's not a big deal. You don't have to give us all the money. Just tell the truth. And she goes, no, that's the amount that we sold the property for. And she dropped dead too. God killed her, and they wrapped her up and took her out and buried her with her husband. And the lesson there is, if you lie to God, he's going to kill you. No, I don't really know what the lesson is. Like, I mean, that was like a one-time thing. Like, they weren't doing that all the time. But it's interesting to me. It's like, it makes you go, I better not lie to the Holy Spirit. I don't even know what that looks like. But I got to be careful and be on my mind my P's and Q's. All right, go to this next slide. So this is, remember Pinocchio, right? So his consequence for his lying, whenever he would lie, his nose would grow. And how great, I think this would be really great, is if when a politician told a lie, his nose would grow, just right there doing the press conference. Be like, we know you're lying. All right, which they would all have that. Anyway, so number one, here's the first consequences of lying. Number one is lies tend to grow. You know this. Just like Pinocchio's nose, it grows. And here's what I found. You do this demonstration. I don't know if you watch TV or if you watch sitcoms, but like last year I started watching Seinfeld. I have Netflix, so I just binge watched all of Netflix, like all 9 seasons or whatever it is. And it took me like a year or a year and a half, whatever it was. And I got through all. But I started noticing a pattern, and it's true for almost every sitcom. So if you watch any kind of sitcom, just go look and see if they use this pattern. So like at the beginning of the episode, one of the characters will tell a lie, maybe even seemingly a little white lie, and then they'll get caught, and someone will call them out on it, and then the whole episode is just them trying to cover up their tracks and trying to cover up for it until the end they get exposed, and it's this big thing, and it's a big laugh moment, haha. And I just think that's kind of their MO for most sitcoms. I think it's hilarious. Put this on the screen. This is from Mark Twain. He said, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. You know that. And then, so I'll put this one up on the screen. I don't really need to make commentary, but, right? So we know that this is like, 1996, somewhere around there. Bill Clinton, had an indiscretion with his intern, Monica Lewinsky, right? And she came forward, I don't even remember what all the details were, but she came forward and ratted him out. And so the people in Congress who didn't like him were like, we're going to take you down for this. And he got up and he made a press conference, and he was adamant. He goes, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And then later it was like, well, it depends on your definition of is, right? It's like, now he's playing semantics. But everybody knew he was lying, and he lied in front of Congress under oath, and they were just like a bunch of bulldogs. Like, they were adamant to take him down, and eventually they impeached him over it, but he didn't lose his job. But eventually he had to do another press conference and admitted verbatim, I did have sexual relations with that woman, and it was inappropriate, and I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, we already knew that. Like, like your nose was way out to here, right? Everybody knew that. But that's what happens when you get caught in a lie. Like here's the thing that I want the takeaway from this. Like, I've noticed in my life, I try not to be a liar. I try to try to just cop to something that happened. But if you could just back up and go, how about I just not put myself in a situation where I have to lie about it? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at today. Like, I want to place myself in situations where I'm not having to defend myself or lie to cover up, okay? That's always the best thing to do. So number 2, the first one is lies always tend to grow. And I've found that to be true. So have you. You tell a lie and you're like, oh man, this thing just grew. I didn't intend for it to be like that. Number 2 is lying hurts people's feelings. And I want to show you this video. This is from Greg Laurie, and he talks about flattery. Let's watch this.
Another way that we can lie is through flattery. Flattery is one of the most subtle forms of deceit. One definition I heard of flattery was saying certain things to a certain person's face you would never say behind their back. It's tempting to get something or tempting to flatter someone when you want to get something from them, like your boss. Oh, boss, you're the best boss. You're so wonderful. You say what you think they want you to say. It can be a form of lying.
So, for the married people in here, if this is rhetorical, but if your wife has ever asked you, hey, honey, do these jeans make my butt look big? Right? You're in a no-win situation at that point, right? You should just run out of the house. So what I would say is that's your one, like I give you permission, husbands, to lie to your wife if you have to. Because what's the truth? No, it's the cupcakes you ate that makes your butt look big. In those, anyways, you're not going to do that. Don't do that, okay? You can blame Pastor Joey, whatever. But anyways, I'm just saying, like sometimes we get put in a situation where like it's like, I don't want to do this. Let me tell you this story. I don't think that they're here. Okay, I want to tell you about some people that my nephew Billy and his wife Jen. They've been married for they met at our church right after we started the church 10 years ago. And but prior to that, when I started my first church in the inner city, that was 2002. And prior to that, I was going to church at a Baptist church here in town, and it was Chad, our worship pastor, was at that church, and some other folks too went to that church. And so whenever I told them I was going to the inner city to plant a church, a few people went with me, and one of them was Jenny, who is now Billy's wife. And so she came with me, and she was like, I have a heart for these inner city teenagers. So she would come down every Saturday. We had church on Saturday night, and it was great. And Eki was my best friend at the time, and he was our worship leader, and so it was his birthday. And so one time, Jenny goes, hey, you guys come over to my apartment. I've made a cake for Eki. And so we went over there, and I think she said originally, she has told me in the past, like, I'm not the greatest cook, okay? So I was already on edge. And so we go over to her house, and it's Eki's birthday, and she goes, I made this chocolate cake. Right? Looked good, had chocolate frosting on it and everything. So she cuts 2 big old pieces, puts them on a plate and gives them to us, puts them in front of us, and then walks in the other room. And while she's in the other room, me and Eki take a bite. We're like, oh my gosh, that's like the worst. I thought she was punking me. I thought she was playing a prank on me. I thought it was dirt. It looked like dirt, and I thought she was serving us dirt. And I almost threw up. And so she came back in, and I realized that she wasn't pranking us. She goes, how was it? And we were like, yeah, it was good. It's good. Hey, can you go get me a glass of water? And when she went in the other room, we both threw ours in the trash, and she didn't notice till later, but she walked by the trash, and she was like, is this your cake that I made for you guys? And we were like, listen, I don't mean to be mean, but that was the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth, ever. Anyway, so yeah. So sometimes you have to tell little white lies or whatever to keep from hurting people's feelings. Number 3, and you know this to be true. This is true. Whenever you lie, one of the consequences is that people trust you less, right? Remember, put this up next on the screen. You all know the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? That's a classic example of he would cry wolf. Hey, there's a wolf here. And the people from the town would come check it out, and eventually there actually was a wolf that showed up, and he went and told, hey, there's a wolf, and they're like, we don't believe you. And so that's what happens, and there might be a silly kid story, but here's the deal. As a Christian, Like, I want to, like, really all I have is my credibility as a Christian. And I'm not a perfect person, neither are you. And so I have to be mindful about my character and integrity, because I want to have the credibility to tell people that Jesus changes people's lives. And if they look at me and go, well, he didn't change much because you're a big fat liar, or, you tell half-truths, or you deceive people, or whatever it is, you and I, as Christians, we don't want to be remembered that way, because it hurts our credibility with people. I want to try to influence people in the right way, and whenever we lie, it hurts our testimony. All right? Number 4, here's the last one. Is it stressful to keep up a lie? Keep a lie a secret. And you've probably found this to be true too. Look at this. Put this quote on the screen. This is from Mark Twain. He said, I can tell, or he said, if you tell the truth, you never have to remember. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I like that. Go ahead and go back to that last one, because I skipped over that one. This goes back to the boy who cried wolf. I can tell you're lying because your lips are moving. I've said that to people before. And listen, here's the sad thing. I know people. No one here, okay, so it's nobody in this room. But I know people that when they tell me anything, I just go, in my mind, I go, I don't believe you. You've lied so many times. I've caught these people. There's more than one, sadly. But I know people that if they tell me anything, I'm like, I doubt it. I just doubt it. And that's what happens whenever you're known as a liar. You don't have any credibility. So go back to that one. Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. That's good for those of us who are getting up in age, right? If I don't write it down, I'm going to forget about it. So I certainly can't keep track of all the lies that I've told. So I just need to be a person that tells the truth, right? It's exhausting to keep up a lie, right? So, all right, I've got some memes. It's what we call at our church meme time. This is my favorite part of the message. So I got just a few of them. Let's look at the first one. It's only a lie when you don't cross your fingers. Next one. Painless dentist. That little kid doesn't believe him. He thinks he's a liar. Yeah. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another unless it's a telemarketer. It's okay to lie to them. I would say that's accurate. All right. I don't know what this means. Our president says this all the time. He calls people a lying dog-faced pony soldier. I don't know what that is. I just thought it was funny. I saw it when I was researching this. I was like, I'm going to put that up there. Anyway, so go to the next one. My face when a person is lying and I know. Come on, have you ever been just talking to somebody? Somebody's telling you a story and they're just outright lying to you, and they're lying. And it's like, and in my mind I'm going, should I just stop them now and say, I already know everything coming out of your mouth is a lie, or you let them finish, or you just, sometimes it's awkward. Was that the last one? Is there one more? Oh yeah, you sit on a throne of lies. That's a great movie. All right. So I want to give you this last part, and we're almost done, but there's 4 things about being an honest person, and I found this on a website, so let me give you a little blurb. It says, generally this command, talking about commandment number 9, says, generally this command means that everything that comes out of our mouth needs to be accurate, reliable, and absolutely truthful. This command is instructing us in 4 different areas, and so this is what I want you to write down. Being an honest person means, number 1, no lying. Lying identifies us with the wrong father or the wrong family. You know who the wrong father is that it identifies us with? You know who it is. Go to the next slide. I want to show you this passage. So this is in John chapter 8, and Jesus said this. Jesus said, for you are the children of your father, the devil. So if anybody ever tells me, oh, we're just all God's children, not according to Jesus. Some people are children of the devil, right? I've got a lot of jokes about that, but we're going to keep moving. It says, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. And it goes on, it says, he has always hated the truth. It's talking about Satan, the father. It says, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So the sad reality is, for me and for you, whenever we lie, we are identifying ourselves with him and not our Heavenly Father. And so we need to steer clear of that. Number 2, So number one is no lying. Number two, no deceiving. Lying has no truth in it. Deceit has to do with partial truth, right? And so that's how I've caught myself in the past before. It's like maybe I didn't come out and tell an outright lie, but sometimes I just told part of the truth, and that's deceptive. Number three, no distorting, to twist or to twist the truth or to take it out of proper context. And then the last one, number four, no exaggerating. It says to stretch or enlarge or to add to the truth. And here's what it says, and then I'm almost done. It says, when someone exaggerates, it's usually based on some truth. However, the truth is built up with lies to make the information or story seem outrageous or ridiculous. This is often done just to get attention or to get sympathy from others. So I want to show you this verse that we're going to end with. Stop. This is Ephesians 4:25. So stop telling lies. Let's all say that together with me. Stop telling lies, right? Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body, okay? Let me tell you this story, and we're done. So the story is about, and I've just found this out this week doing research, but I don't know if you know where the word sincere came from. I don't know if you know about the word sincere. I always thought it was just a thing, like whenever you'd write a letter, and look, we don't write letters. And that one thing that in that video, Greg Laurie, when he was talking about, tell him I'm not home. Well, like I don't even have a home phone in my house. Like most of you guys probably don't have a home phone anymore. You just have cell phones. So if telemarketer calls, it comes up as scam, and I just don't answer, right? But the word sincere, it used to be that we would write a letter, right? And then we would say, sincerely, Joey, at the end, right? But we don't write letters really anymore either. But the word sincere is interesting because it comes from two Latin words. The first word is sin, which means without, and the second word is cere, which means wax, okay? So it means without wax. And it goes back to ancient times because back then, they would, in the marketplace, they would sell these little trinkets or little statues that are made out of marble, sometimes maybe made out of granite. And so what they would do is they would find a piece of granite or a piece of marble, and they would chip away, and they would create these little statues, right? These little trinkets. And then they would take them to the marketplace, and they would sell them, but it's really hard to find like a whole piece, like without little defects on it, little blemishes, right? So what they would do is if there was a little chip missing out of it, they would take wax and they would smooth it over. So if you're in the marketplace and you're looking at this little trinket, you would run your hand over it and it was smooth because they use wax, right? But it wasn't, it was cheaper than the original. And so what they would do is they would say, this little trinket right here is sincere, which means they would understand that to mean without wax. So they would say, you could look at it and run your hand over it, and there's no blemishes, there's no defects on it, no pieces missing, it's whole, and as a result, it would be worth more, right? And so I thought about that, and I thought, that's what we want to be, right? We want to be sincere. We want to be without wax. I don't want to deceive you and cover up these parts where I've lied to you or I've deceived you in some way. So let's all bow our heads, and let's close our eyes, and let's think about what that means to be sincere this week. And let's go ahead and stand to our feet, and we're going to have a time of invitation. Well, we're not going to drag this out, but just a few minutes where if you need to come forward and pray, if there's something on your heart, you're going through a rough time, or you got a family member who's going through a rough time, we have some folks that will be up here to pray with you. Or if you want to just come and kneel at the altar, you can pray where you're at. You can do that. But I want us to reflect on the message, and I'm going to be doing that this week, thinking about what does it mean in my life to be sincere, to be without wax? Like, what are the areas in my life that I struggle in that? Where are the areas in my life where I struggle to tell the truth or to be honest? And I think, to be honest with you, I think sometimes we're not honest with ourselves before God. I think sometimes we look and go, I'm good enough, and God's looking and going, no, you got some defects. You got some things that you've been covering with wax and trying to put yourself out there to the rest of the world that you're whole and have it all together. When in reality, God's like, I know what the defects are, and I love you just the same, but I want you to work on those. So tell the truth. Don't take things that aren't yours. Work on your marriage. All of the 10 commandments were given. Honor your father and mother, right? All of these things we need to continuously work on because we want to be people who are sincere. It just means people of character and people of integrity without wax. I want my life to be like that. I want to be a person that I'm not covering up my imperfections with wax so that I look better than what I really am. So let's start with being honest with ourselves, and let's be honest with other people too. So this morning, with your heads bowed and eyes closed and nobody looking around, if you're here and you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus, I would tell you that there's something majorly missing out of your life. And you know what it is. You know that when you lay your head on your pillow at night, something's missing. And you can make money, and you can get you can get nice things, and you can do all that the world says is going to make you happy. And then after you get it and accomplish all of that, you go, why do I still feel so empty? And it's because you're missing something in your life. And I know what that is, and you may not know what that is, but it's a relationship with Jesus. And I'm not talking about religion. If you come back next week, we're going to be talking about that at Easter. But people go, I go to church, so I check the box and I'm good. That's religion. Or I do religious things. That's not going to get you into heaven. It's having a personal relationship with Jesus that gets you into heaven. And it's also what gets you through every day of our lives, is having God work on these things. It's like I've been a Christian for a long time, and God's going, don't stop. Don't stop trying to, don't start putting wax over the imperfections. Let's work on those. Let's be honest people without wax. And so if you're here and you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus, I want to encourage you to come find me after the service, or come find Pastor Chuck or one of our staff members. And we would really like, you might even want to just set up an appointment with us where we can meet with you during the week. But we want to sit down with you and go over what it means to be a Christian with you, just so you have a good understanding of that. God cares about you, and he wants the best for you. But it starts with you giving your life to Jesus. All right, so let's pray together. God, thank you for your word, and thank you for how it convicts our lives. I know I want to be a better person. I want to be a person who more closely reflects the character of Jesus. And I know I fall short every day. And so help me to be a person without wax. Help me to be a sincere person, and help us all to do that, because I know that you've given us a great mission to go out and to reach as many people as we can for Jesus in this community. And we need to be people of integrity if we're going to have any credibility to do that. So help us to do that this week. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, don't forget, right now, if you're planning on sticking around for Matt and Carly's party, it's going to be down in the fellowship hall. You're all welcome to stay and say goodbye to them.